Having trouble with your strategy? Then map it. Imagine that you are a general taking your troops into foreign territory. Obviously, you would need detailed maps showing the important towns and villages, the surrounding landscape, key structures like bridges and tunnels, and the roads and highways that traverse the region. Without such information, you couldn't communicate your campaign strategy to field officers and the rest of your troops. Unfortunately, many top executives are trying to do just that. When attempting to implement their business strategies, they give employees only limited descriptions of what they should do and why those tasks are important. Without clearer and more detailed information, it is no wonder that many companies have failed in executing their strategies. After all, how can people carry out a plan they don't fully understand? Organizations need tools for communicating both their strategy and the process and systems that will help them implement that strategy. Strategy maps provide such a tool. They give employees a clear line of sight into how their jobs are linked to the overall objectives of the organization, enabling them to work in a coordinated, collaborative fashion towards the company's desired goals. The maps provide a visual representation of a company's critical objectives and the crucial relationships among them that drive organizational performance. Strategy maps can depict objectives for revenue growth, targeted customer markets in which profitable growth will occur, value propositions that will lead to customers doing more business and at higher margins, the key role of innovation and excellence in products, services, and processes, and the investments will require in people and systems to generate and sustain the projected growth. Strategy maps show the cause and effect links by which specific improvements create desired outcomes. For example, how faster process cycle times and enhance employee capabilities will increase retention of customers and thus increase a company's revenues. From a larger perspective, strategy maps show how an organization will convert its initiatives and resources, including intangible assets such as corporate culture and employee knowledge, into tangible outcomes. Why strategy maps? In the industrial age, companies created value by transforming raw materials into finished products. The economy was primarily based on tangible assets, inventory, land, factories, and equipment, and an organization could describe and document its business strategy by using financial tools such as general ledgers, income statements, and balance sheets. In the information age, businesses must increasingly create and deploy intangible assets. For instance, customer relationship, employee skills and knowledge, information technologies, and a corporate culture that encourages innovation, problem solving, and general organizational improvements. Even though intangible assets have become major source of competitive advantages, no tools existed to describe them in the value that they can create. The main difficulty is that the value of intangible assets depend on their organizational context and a company's strategy. For example, a growth-oriented sales strategy might require knowledge about customers, additional training for salespeople, a new database information systems, a different organizational structure, and an incentive-based compensation program. Investing in just one of those items or in a few of them, but not all, would cause the strategy to fail. The value of an intangible asset, such as a customer database, cannot be considered separately from the organization process that will transform it in other assets, both intangible and tangible, into customers and financial outcomes. The value does not reside in any individual tangible asset. It arises from the entire set of assets and the strategy that links them together. To understand how organizations create value in the information age, we developed the Balance Scorecard, which measures a company's performance from four major perspectives: financial, customer, internal, process, and learning and growth. Briefly summarized, balanced scorecards tell you the knowledge, skills, and systems that your employees will need. They're learning and growth and to innovate and build their right strategic capabilities and efficiencies. The internal processes that deliver specific value to the market, the customers, which will eventually lead to higher shareholder value, the financials. Since we introduced the concept in 1992, we have worked with hundreds of executive teams from various organizations in both the private and public sector. From this extensive research, we have noticed certain patterns and have brought them into a common visual framework, a strategy map that embeds the different items and on organization's balance scorecard into a cause and effect change, connecting desired outcomes with the drivers of those results. We have developed strategy maps for customers in various industries, including insurance, banking, retail, healthcare, chemicals, energy, telecommunication, and e commerce. The maps have also been useful for nonprofit organizations and government units. From this experience, we have developed a standard template that executives can use to develop their own strategy maps. See Exhibit Balanced Scorecard Strategy Map. The template contains four distinct regions: financial, customer, internal process, and learning and growth that corresponds to the four perspective and balance scorecard. The template provides a common framework and language that can be used to describe any strategy. Much like a financial statement, provide a generally accepted structure for describing financial performance. A strategy map enables an organization to describe and illustrate in clear and general language its objectives, initiatives, and targets. The measure used to assess its performance, such as market share and customer surveys, and the linkages that are foundation for strategic direction. To understand how a strategy map is built, we will study Mobile North American Marketing and Refining, which executed a new strategy to reconstruct itself from a centrally controlled manufacturing of commodity products to a decentral customer-driven organization. As a result, Mobil increased its operating cash flow by more than $1 billion per year and became the industry's profit leader from the top down. The best way to build strategy maps is from the top down, starting with the destination and then charting the routes that will lead there. Corporate executives should first review their mission statements and their core values, why their company exists, and what it believes in. With that information, managers can develop a strategic vision or what the company wants to become. This vision should create a clear picture of the company's overall goal. For example, to become the profit leader in an industry, a strategy must then define the logic of how to arrive at that destination. Financial perspective. Building a strategy map typically starts with a financial strategy for increasing shareholder value. Nonprofit and government units often place their customer or constituents, not financials, at the top of their strategy map. Companies have two basic levels for their financial strategy: revenue growth and productivity. The former generally has two components: build a franchise with revenue from new markets, new products, and new customers, and increase value to existing customers by deepening relationships with them through expanded sales, for example, cross-selling products or offering bundled products instead of single products. The productivity strategy also usually has two parts: improve the company's cost structure by reducing direct and indirect expenses and using assets more efficiently by reducing the working and fixed capital needed to support a given level of business. In general, the productivity strategy yields results sooner than the growth strategy, but one of the principal contributions of a strategy map is to highlight the opportunities for enhancing financial performance through revenue growth, not just by cost reduction, improved asset utilization. Also, balancing the two strategies helps to ensure that cost and asset reductions do not compromise a company's growth opportunities with customers. Mobil's stated strategic vision was to be the best integrated refiner marketer in the United States by effectively delivering unprecedented value to customers. The company's high level financial goals was to increase its return on capital employed by more than 6% points within 3 years. To achieve that, executives used all four of the drivers of a financial strategy that we break out in the strategy map. Two, for revenue growth, and for to achieve that, executives used all four of the drivers of a financial strategy that we break out in the strategy map. Two for revenue growth and two for productivity. See the financial proportion of the exhibit mobile strategy map. The revenue growth strategy for mobile to expand sales outside of gasoline by offering convenience store products and services, ancillary automotive services, car washes, oil and minor repairs, automotive product, oil, antifreeze, and wiper fluids, and common replacement parts, tires, and wiper blades. Also, the company would sell more premium brands to customers. It would increase sales faster than the industry average. In terms of productivity, Mobil wanted to slash operating expenses per gallon sold to the lowest level in the industry and exact more from existing assets. For example, by reducing the downtime at its oil refineries and increasing their yields. Customer perspective. The core of any business strategy is the customer value proposition, which is described the unique mix of product and services attributes, customer relations, and corporate image of that company offers. It defines how the organization will differentiate itself from competitors to attract, retain, and deepen relationships with targeted customers. The value proposition is crucial because it helps an organization connect its internal processes to improved outcomes with its customers. Typically, the value proposition is chosen from among three differentiators: operational excellence, for example, McDonald's and Dell Computers; customer intimacy, for example, Home Depot, IBM in the 1960s and 1970s; and product leadership, for example, Intel and Sony. Companies strive to excel in one of three areas while maintaining threshold standards for the other two. By identifying its customer value proposition, a company then will know classes and types of customers to target. In our research, we have found that although a clear differentiation of the value proposition is the single most important step in developing a strategy, approximately 3/4 of executive teams do not have consensus about this basic information. The inset of the exhibit, the balanced scorecard strategy map, highlights the different objectives for the three generic strategy concepts of operational excellence, customer intimacy, and product leadership. Specifically, companies that pursue a strategy of operational excellence need to excel at competitive pricing, product quality and selection, speedy order fulfillment, and on-time delivery. For customer intimacy, an organization must stress the quality of its relationship with its customers, including exceptional service and the completedness of the solutions it offers. And companies that pursue a product leadership strategy must concentrate on the functionality, features, and overall performance of its product or services. Mobil in the past had attempted to sell a full range of products and services to all customers while still matching the low prices of nearby discount stations. But this unfocused strategy had failed, leading to poor financial performance in the early 90s. Through market research, Mobil discovered that price-sensitive customers represented only about 20% of gasoline purchasers, while customer segments represented nearly 60% of the market might be willing to pay significant price premiums for gasoline if they could buy at a station that were fast, friendly, and outfitted with excellent convenient stores. With this information, Mobil made the crucial decision to adopt a differentiated value proposition. The company would target the premium customer segment by offering them immediate access to gasoline pumps, each equipped with a self-payment mechanism, safe, well-lit stations, clean restrooms, convenience stores stocked with fresh, high-quality merchandise, and friendly employees. Mobil decided that the customer buying experience was so central to its strategy that it invested in a new system for measuring its progress in this area. Each month, the company sent mystery shoppers to purchase fuel and snack at every Mobil station nationwide, and then asked the shoppers to evaluate their buying experience based on 23 specific criteria. Thus, Mobil could use a fairly simple set of metrics: share of the customer segments, and a summary score from the mystery shopper for its customer objectives. But Mobil does not sell directly to customers. The company's immediate customers are the independent owners of gasoline stations. These franchise retailers purchase gasoline and other products from Mobil and sell them to the customers in Mobil branded stations. Because dealers were such a critical part of the new strategy, Mobil included two additional metrics to its customer perspective: dealer profitability and dealer satisfaction. Thus, Mobil's complete customer strategy motivated independent dealers to deliver a great buying experience that would attract an increased share of targeted customers. These customers would buy products and services at premium prices, increasing profit for both Mobil and its dealers, who would then continue to be motivated to offer the great buying experiences, and this virtuous cycle would generate the revenue growth for Mobil financial strategy. Note that the objectives in the customer perspective portion of Mobil strategy map were not generic, undifferentiated items like customer satisfaction. Instead, they were specific, focused on the company strategy. Internal process perspective. Once an organization has a clear picture of its customer and financial perspectives, it can then determine the means by which it will achieve the differentiated value proposition for customers and their productivity improvements to reach its financial objectives. The internal process perspective captures these critical organizational activities, which fall into four high-level processes: build the franchise by innovating with their new products and services, by penetrating new markets and customer segments, increasing customer value by deepening relationships with existing companies, achieve operational excellence by improving supply chain management, the cost, quality, and cycle of time of internal processes, asset utilization, and capacity management, and become a good corporate citizen by establishing effective relationships with external stakeholders. An important caveat to remember here is that while many companies espouse a strategy that calls for innovation or for developing value-adding customer relationships, they mistakenly choose to measure only the cost and quality of their operations, and not their innovations or their customer management processes. These companies have a complete disconnect between their strategy and how they measured it. Not surprisingly, these organizations typically have great difficulty implementing their growth strategies. The financial benefits from improved business processes typically reveal themselves in stages. Cost saving from increased operational efficiencies and process improvements create short-term benefits. Revenue growth from enhanced customer relationships accrue in the intermediate term, and increased innovation can produce long-term revenue and margin improvements. Thus, a complete strategy should involve generating returns from all three of these internal processes. Mobil internal process objectives include building the franchise by developing new products and services, such as sales and convenience stores, and enhancing customer value by training dealers to become better managers, and by helping them generate profits from non-gasoline products and services. The plan was that if dealers could capture increased revenues and profits from products other than gasoline, they could then rely less on gasoline sales, allowing Mobil to capture a larger profit share of its sales of gasoline to dealers. For its customer intimacy strategy, Mobile had to excel at understanding its customer segment, and because mobile doesn't sell directly to customers, the company also had to concentrate on building best in class franchise teams. Interestingly, mobile placed a heavy emphasis on objective to improve its basic refining and distribution operations, such as lowering operating costs, reducing the downtime of equipment, and improving product quality in the number of on time deliveries. When a company such as mobile adopts a customer intimacy strategy, it usually focuses on its customer management processes, but mobile differentiation occurred at the dealer location, not at its own facilities, which basically produce commodity products, gasoline, heating oil, and jet fuel. So, mobile could not charge its dealers higher prices to make up for any higher cost incurred in its basic manufacturing and distribution operations. Consequently, the company had to focus heavily on achieving operational excellence throughout its value chain of operations. Finally, as a part of both operational excellence and corporate citizen themes, Mobile wanted to eliminate environmental and safety accidents. Executives believed that if they were injuries and other problems at work, then employees were probably not paying sufficient attention to their jobs. Learning and growth perspectives. The foundation of any strategy map is the learning and growth perspectives, which define the core competencies and skills, the technologies, and the corporate culture needed to support an organization's strategy. These objectives enable a company's to align its human resource oper- These objectives enable a company to align its human resources and information technology with its strategy. Specifically, the organization must determine how it will satisfy the requirements from crucial internal processes and differentiated value propositions in customer relationships. Although executive teams readily acknowledge the importance of learning and growth perspectives, they generally have trouble defining their corresponding objectives. Mobile identified that its employees needed to gain a broader understanding of the marketing and refining business from end to end. Additionally, the company knew it had to nurture the leadership skills that were necessary for its managers to articulate the company's vision and develop employees. Mobile identified key technologies that it had to develop, including automated equipment for monitoring the refining process, an extensive database, and tools to analyze consumer buying experiences. Upon completing its learning and growth perspectives, Mobile's now had a complete strategy map linked across the four major perspectives from which Mobile's different business units and service departments could develop their own detailed maps for their respective operations. This process helped the company detect and major file and fill major gaps in the strategies being implemented at lower levels of the organization. For example, for example, Senior management noticed that one business unit had no objectives or metrics for dealers. See the exhibit What's Missing. Had this unit discovered how to bypass dealers and sell gasoline directly to customers, where dealer relationships no longer strategic for this unit, another business unit had no measure of quality. Had the unit achieved perspective, strategy maps can help uncover remedy such omissions. What's missing? Strategy maps also help identify when scorecards are not truly strategic. Many organizations have built stakeholder scorecards but not strategy scorecards by developing a seemingly balanced measurement system around three dominant groups of constitutes employee, customers, and shareholders. A strategy, however, must describe how a company will achieve its desired outcomes of satisfying employees, customers, and shareholders. The how must include the value proposition in the customer perspective, the innovation, customer management, and operation process, in the internal process perspective, in the employee skills, in information technology capabilities, in learning and growth perspectives. These elements are as fundamental to the strategy as projected outcomes of the strategy. Another limitation occurs when companies build key performance indicators, KPI scorecards. For example, one financial service organization identified the 4 Ps in its balanced scorecard: profit, portfolio, process, and people. Although this approach was more balanced than using just financial measures, a comparison of the 4 Ps with a strategy map revealed several missing components: no customer measures, only a single internal process metric, which was focused on initiative, not an outcome, and no defined role for information technology, a strange omission for a financial service organization. Uh, and initially, KPI scorecards are an ad hoc collection of measures, a checklist, or perhaps element in a compensation plan, but they don't describe a cohort strategy unless the link to the strategy has been clearly thought through. A KPI scorecard can be a dangerous illusion. Perhaps the greatest benefit of the strategy map is their ability to communicate strategy to an entire organization. The power of doing so is amply demonstrated by the story of how mobile developed SpeedPass, a small device carried on a keychain that, when waved in front of a photo cell on a gasoline pump, identifies the customer and charges the appropriate credit card or debit card for the purchase. The idea for SpeedPass came from a planning manager in the marketing technology group who learned from Mobile's balanced scorecard about the importance of speed in the purchasing transaction. He came up with this concept of a device that could automatically handle the entire purchasing transaction. He worked with a gasoline pump manufacturer and a semiconductor company turned to that idea into a reality. After its introduction, SpeedPass soon became a strong differentiator for Mobile's value proposition for of fast, friendly service. From 1997 on, executives modified Mobile's balanced scorecard to include new objectives for the number of consumer and dealers that adopted SpeedPass. With all its employees now aligned to the new strategy, Mobile North America marketing and refining executive a remarkable turnaround in less than 2 years to become the industry's profit leader from 1995 up to its merger with Exxon in the late 1999. The division increased its return on capital employed from 6% to 16%. Sales growth exceeded by the industry average by more than 2% annually. Cash expenses decreased by 20%, and in 1998, the division's operating cash flow was more than $1 billion per year, higher than at launch of the new strategy. These impressive financial results were driven by improvements through mobile strategy map, mystery shopper scorecards, and dealer quality increased each year. The number of the consumers using SpeedPass grew by $1 million annually. Environmental and safety accidents plunged between $60 and $80. Lost oil refinery yields due to system downtime dropped by 70%, and employee awareness and commitment to the strategy more than quadrupled. Not in art form. We do not claim to have made a science of strategy. The formulation of great strategies is an art, and it will always remain so. But the description of strategy should not be an art. If people can describe strategy in a more disciplined way, they will increase the likelihood of its successful implementation. Strategy maps will help organizations view strategy in a cohesive, integrated, and systematic way. They often expose gaps in strategies, enabling executives to take early corrective actions. Executives can also use the maps as a foundation for management systems that can help organization implement its growth initiatives effectively and rapidly. Strategy implies the movement of an organization from its present position to a desirable but uncertain future position. Because the organization has never been to this future place, the pathway to it consists of a series of linked hypotheses. A strategy map specified These cause and effect relationships, which makes them explicit and testable. The key then implementing strategy is to have everyone in the organization clearly understand the underlying hypothesis to align all organization units and resources with those hypotheses, to test the hypothesis continually, and to use those results and adapt as required.